Emily Thornberry has made it through to the second round of the Labour leadership election, but does she have what it takes to win the crown? Well, Ms Thornberry will point to her own record as Shadow Foreign Secretary as evidence that she's a good candidate, but some of her critics point out that she wasn't always across her brief.
But I just want to know, have you called the French Foreign Minister, for instance?
No, but we're in the process of arranging for me to go to France and to Germany.
Do you know who he is?
Don't start pub quizzing me, don't start pub quizzing me.
He's the French Foreign Minister. Do you know his name?
No.
She may end up being tarred by the North London metropolitan Liberal elite brush, and she won't be helped by that tweet about the white van man or allegations that she described Northern voters as stupid.
Well, she said to one of my colleagues, I'm glad my constituents aren't as stupid as yours. I'm sorry, it's not acceptable.
People can slag me off, as long as it's true, I'll take it on the chin. But they can't make up about me.
The former barrister is geographically close to Jeremy Corbyn, but not necessarily politically anymore. Though her Islington South constituency neighbours his, she gave Mr Corbyn a score of 0 out of 10 in his general election performance.
Bringing us back to speaking from our hearts, I'd give him 10 out of 10. Losing an election is probably the most important thing, by which you would measure a leader. And obviously we lost very, very badly. And on that basis, I would give him on that 0 out of 10. What else could I do?
And she may look to play up her background to win some of those all-important votes, she herself having been raised on a council estate.
When I was very young, we had a complete domestic catastrophe. My dad cleared off and we were left with no money. In the end, the bailiffs caught us and we got chucked out.
The whole point of her campaign will be about the fight back, but she herself is going to have to fight back if she wants to be a strong contender who can win this leadership contest.
Keir Starmer is the centrist's great hope for the Labour leadership. Supporters long for the shadow cabinet's silver fox to take Labour away from hard-left Corbynism and towards a more electorally appealing social democratic platform. YouGov polling confirms that he is way out in front as a clear front-runner, which is testament to his careful work, keeping at arm's length from the Corbyn top brass, while making sure not to offend Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters by gamely serving on his front bench as shadow Brexit secretary. But after its worst election defeat since 1935, Labour needs a leader that can reclaim its lost heartlands north of the M25. And some say that Starmer just doesn't have what it takes. YouGov polling shows that Sir Keir bombs among working-class voters in typically Leave areas, inevitably a result of the former Director of Public Prosecutions fronting a position that fully embraced a second referendum. Also plaguing the Oxford-educated Knight of the Realm is his perception as one of London's liberal elite. Supposedly the inspiration for Colin Firth in his portrayal of hotshot QC Mark Darcy in the Bridget Jones saga, Sir Keir has been quick and keen to point out his humble beginnings, highlighting that his dad was a toolmaker and mother a nurse, as well as his career triumphs representing the little man in cases against McDonald's and receiving praise from Stephen Lawrence's mum. But will this be enough for the Remain-loving liberal London lawyer to shake off his public image and win the Labour leadership? Even if he sews it up, does he have what it takes to win back Labour's lost voters?
Soft left, no-nonsense Northern candidate Lisa Nandy says she's the candidate to back to reunite the Labour Party. Before her election as an MP for Wigan in 2010, Manchester-born Nandy was previously a councillor in London for 4 years. The daughter of a Marxist academic, Nandy has said her father thinks she's right-wing. And she's never been a fan of Jeremy Corbyn, resigning from his shadow cabinet after just 9 months. A Remainer MP representing a constituency which overwhelmingly voted to leave the EU, 40-year-old Nandy has accused Eurosceptic Conservative MPs of imposing the tyranny of the majority on her Remainer constituents in the past. Nandy is now said to be committed to moving Labour away from its metropolitan image and focusing on winning back the support of left-behind towns. Blaming her party's December defeat on a lack of trust, she says she's ready for a scrap to totally change the party's course. But YouGov has Nandy polling at just 6%. While she's likely to be backed by northern New Labour figures like Blunkett and Burnham, this may not be enough to overcome the left-wing takeover of the Labour Party by Corbynistas. Left-wing commentators believe Lisa Nandy won the first leadership hustings, but she's still at the back of the pack. Long, Bailey, Starmer and Phillips can be confident they'll get through the first round of voting. But for Nandy, her contest begins with Clive Lewis and Emily Thornberry as they fight for the 22 nominations needed to advance.
Hot favourite Rebecca Long-Bailey is the hard left's anointed candidate in the Labour leadership race.
Mum says I was born to the sound of the roar at the Stretford end.
And has only been in Parliament since 2015. A close ally of Corbyn and John McDonnell, she's been dubbed the continuity candidate who's pledged to run on a platform of the ironically Blairite-sounding concept of progressive patriotism, claiming that uncontrolled immigration does not suppress wages, but saying that she'd be prepared to hit the nuclear button. She's keen to emphasise her northern working class roots in a bid to appeal to Labour's lost Midlands and northern heartlands. And she has the backing of union heavyweight Len McCluskey and far-left activist group Momentum. But her close alliance to Corbyn could also be her downfall. Her rivals claim she is tainted by the abject failure of the previous regime and that she has nothing new to offer. Perhaps that is why Long-Bailey is running such a cautious campaign, steering well clear of the interview circuit, not least avoiding criticising Corbyn in public.
I thought Jeremy was one of the most honest, kind, principled politicians that I ever met. Well, I'd give him 10 out of 10 because I respect him and I supported him all the way through.
Her success would mean Labour has learnt very little from their election annihilation and hardly helped them to rebuild the Red Wall. It would be the biggest gift the Tories could receive and secure their successful reign for the foreseeable future.
At 38, Jess Phillips is the youngest Labour leadership contender entering the race under the slogan, "Speak truth, win power." Known for her down-to-earth style of politics, she's never shied away from holding power to account. Phillips has risen to prominence campaigning for equality and tackling violence against women. She's a long-time critic of Jeremy Corbyn, and her centrist message is a far cry from the promises of Rebecca Long-Bailey, the standard-bearer for Corbynistas across the party. But this may prove to backfire if she struggles to win the support of Labour's left-wing activists who reject her moderate approach. In the last leadership elections, the NEC used all kinds of tricks to keep some Labour members from voting, and the result was a disastrous Corbyn-led party. Jess Phillips has warned against a potential stitch-up and called for the leadership contest to be truly open. But Phillips may face trouble outside of the Labour Party too. As an ardent Remainer in a strong Leave seat, she's flip-flopped on Brexit and gave away her rejoin position on the Andrew Marr show. The interview was swiftly followed by an embarrassing U-turn. But regardless of her hasty change in direction, it's widely suspected she will fight for the EU if she becomes leader of the Labour Party. This could wreak electoral havoc in the Labour heartlands the party is desperate to win back after a crushing general election defeat. Despite this, Jess Phillips says she's the candidate that can bring working class voters to the party and clean up Labour's shoddy record on anti-Semitism. But the competition is stiff, and the latest polling puts Jess Phillips behind Keir Starmer and arch rival Rebecca Long-Bailey.